This week, Amazfit released two new watches, both of which are geared towards runners. The Amazfit Cheetah and this, the Amazfit Cheetah Pro. Now I had this whole sexy cheetah print outfit planned for this video, but I completely ran out of time. But this is the Amazfit Cheetah Pro. It is a dual band GPS sports watch that is targeting runners with a sharp 1.4 inch, 1000 nit bright AMOLED display. Not that running is the only thing that this thing can do. It has over 150 sports types to choose from. And some of these are a little weird. You've got basic stuff like running, walking, cycling, swimming, triathlon, weight training, hiking, but there's also 16 types of dance workout options. So if you're like me and you're into pole dancing, for example, the Amazfit Cheetah Pro has you covered. Also, oddly, on the workout list is board games. I'm not sure which one of you guys are looking to find a GPS watch to track your chess game, but the Amazfit Cheetah has you covered there also. Okay, so as much as I joke around about this watch, there's actually a lot to like here. This new Cheetah Pro has a titanium bezel around the edge, and like the Amazfit GTR 4 that I've reviewed on this channel in the past, it has two basic buttons. It has this like digital scroll wheel piece here that you can actually press in or use for scrolling, and then a back button. And the watch itself is extremely light, somewhere around 43, 44 grams, making it one of the lightest watches that we've tested on this channel. And keep in mind that that's with this large 1.45 inch screen. Now, to be fair, a lot of the weight from the watch is saved by going with this Velcro woven nylon watch band, which I really like on this watch. My wife didn't like it all that much, but I liked it. If you are sweating or swimming a lot, these fabric wristbands do tend to hold on to a lot of moisture, but I like that this gave me a secure fit when I was swimming, biking, and running with this watch. If you're not a fan, it is compatible with other 22mm quick release pin style watch bands. But here's a quick size comparison that might help you get an idea on the size of this watch. So this is the Amazfit Cheetah Pro on the left, the Amazfit GTR 4, then the Amazfit T-Rex, and then the Amazfit Falcon on the right. I can try to flip all of these watches over and give you a little bit of an idea on the depth of these watches. Remember, I always say this, that the depth of the watch is really what makes the watch feel a little bit more big and bulky. But this Cheetah Pro feels pretty slim here at 12.5 millimeters in depth. And as I show you this watch on my wrist throughout this video, it's nice to know that I do have a pretty small wrist. It's 165 millimeters in circumference. I'd say they're small, but still very manly wrists. Now the Amazfit Cheetah Pro costs $300. The Cheetah Non-Pro edition costs $230. I'll link below to both of those if you want to support the channel and use the affiliate link. But what do you get when you spend that extra $70 going from the Non-Pro to the Pro? Well, the Cheetah Pro has a titanium bezel around a bigger screen. The Non-Pro Cheetah has a smaller screen. It's a 1.39 inch screen, which is still pretty decent size, and it still has that bright, sharp AMOLED display, but it has a plastic bezel instead of a titanium. The strap itself is a liquid silicone strap, more traditional strap instead of the woven nylon, and it doesn't have a built-in speaker or microphone. You still can connect Bluetooth headphones if you want to listen to music on it or something like that. And I do like the speakers on the Cheetah Pro. It'll call out mile splits for you as you're running. Technically, you could listen to music through the speakers on this watch, but I suspect that you're going to want Bluetooth headphones at some point just for the sake of quality. But just for quick stuff, I do like the speakers on this device. For example, you can connect this watch to your Amazon Alexa account and use it as you would any sort of Amazon Alexa controlled device. When I asked it to stream music, it does hop over to my speakers, which I think is actually quite nice. Play some Beastie Boys on Matt's Echo in his office.
This is Beastie Boys from Matt's Spotify.
This is Beastie Boys from Matt's Spotify playing on Matt's office.
Nice. Good job, Amazfit. The Cheetah and the Cheetah Pro do have their own internal music storage. It's just basic MP3 files, and you do have about 2.3 gigs of file storage space. So it's not connecting to your favorite streaming services like Spotify or Deezer or Apple Music or something like that, but you can get music on the device. There's also an AI coaching app that comes along with this particular watch, which sounds super interesting, but I actually wasn't able to get it working. I think it's potentially connecting to a natural language learning model similar to ChatGPT or something like that. Super interesting concept. And there is actually a lot of functionality built into this watch's operating system. So you will see stuff like your training load, your VO2 max scores, which do tend to score a little bit lower when you compare them to something like a Garmin. But you'll see stuff like recovery time. You can spot check your heart rate, your SpO2 or your blood oxygen saturation levels with this watch. You can see steps counted. You can look at your previous night's sleep. You can check the weather. You can even use your watch as a remote trigger for your smartphone for photos, which might come in handy if you want to kind of trigger a photo while your phone is a little bit further off from you. And keep in mind that there's also a small app store if you do want to install more applications. You guys might remember a video I did a while back where I installed an app that allowed me to remotely trigger a GoPro camera. That was pretty cool. I liked that. But if you guys do decide to pick up the Amazfit Cheetah Pro for $300, in the box, it's pretty basic. You'll see the watch itself, the charging cord, which is a 2-pin magnetically attaching USB charger. Again, it's similar to the charger for the Amazfit GTR 4, and you can actually buy extra of those pretty affordably if you just want to have a few of those laying around the house. Now moving on to data accuracy, I did swim with this watch and it did miss about 75 meters from a 2,000 or 3,000 meter swim. It's not the end of the world. I actually see that a lot on a lot of watches, especially when you're mixing up strokes and you're doing different drills and things like that. And then cycling with this watch was okay. I wasn't actually able to connect it to my Bluetooth power meter. I have a crank-based cork power meter, and so I really wasn't able to test that side of things, but it did report distance and speed accurately as far as I could tell when comparing it to other GPS watches and cycling computers. But I mostly wanted to test this watch for running since that's the intended audience for this particular device, and I actually had some pretty good results here. And it seems like data accuracy, especially heart rate data accuracy, has always been the Achilles heel of some of these more affordable Amazfit watches. But looking at this particular heart rate data, the first run that I took this watch on, it actually looks surprisingly accurate. And like I said before, I've had a few runs with this watch and they've all been pretty solid. I almost always see it, off for the first little bit, for the first few minutes of the workout, and then it tends to lock on pretty well. And again, I'm comparing this watch's wrist-based optical heart rate sensor to an ECG style chest strap. Now, I also had really good GPS accuracy with this watch. The watch does have a multi-band GPS chip, so it has the ability to connect to multiple frequencies of satellite systems to get the best GPS tracking possible. And when you use that, it does take a hit on battery life, but that is how it's set by default. And this watch does have something called their automatic mode, which switches between GPS modes to preserve battery while still providing that higher GPS accuracy when needed. And I think that that's probably what I would recommend for you guys, but I haven't really tested it fully yet. But looking at this first set of data here between the Apple Watch Ultra in green and the Garmin Forerunner 955 in purple, and the Amazfit Cheetah in red, the Cheetah Pro here in red, and you can see that they all pretty much agree throughout this run. I think if we're being, really picky here, you can definitely see that the Apple Watch Ultra and the Garmin, they do a touch better in this fairly thick Pacific Northwest forest area. But again, we're comparing the Cheetah to, some of the best GPS watches on the market here. On a different run here, we're comparing the Garmin Forerunner 965 in purple, a Polar Pacer Pro in yellow, which again might be a little bit more similar in price to the Amazfit Cheetah, where the Amazfit Cheetah is being shown here in red, Cheetah Pro here in red. And again, this is some of those same pretty thick trails that we were running on before. And you can see that really it's the Polar Pacer Pro here that seems to have the most difficulties and the most anomalies within this GPS track. So overall, I'd say that this is the best running data that I've seen from an Amazfit product. I think that they're really beginning to improve the accuracy of both the heart rate as well as the GPS here. So, on to my recommendations, and I think, my biggest hesitation still is the $300 price tag of the Amazfit Cheetah Pro. Amazfit has always been a brand that provides really amazing value at an extremely affordable price. And $300, it's weird. It's getting to that point right at that price range where the competition is extremely good. So for example, the Coros, they actually still make a watch called the Pace 2 for $200. My only hesitation with that watch is that it is an older watch now from Coros, and I've got to be thinking that Coros is eventually going to make a Pace 3, but the Coros Pace 2 is an excellent watch for $200. But then on the other side of the coin, there's the Garmin Forerunner 255, which is $350, and it is an absolute beast of a watch. You guys have heard me recommend it on this channel before. And if you're a little bit more serious about data accuracy and overall, solidness and stability of the watch operating system, then I would take a very strong look at that Forerunner 255 or maybe even the 265. Now, if this Cheetah Pro was $250, I think it would be an absolute no-brainer. Anything kind of removing it from that $300 range really gets to the point where you start to think of this watch as an extreme value for what you're getting. And maybe that Cheetah non-Pro edition is the one to get for $230. I don't actually know, I haven't tested that watch, but I'd be pretty interested in that one as an excellent option at a lower price point. But those are just a couple of my thoughts. Again, you guys know me, I'd much rather hear from you guys. What do you guys think? What do you guys think of the price point for this particular watch? The Cheetah Pro for $300, do you guys think that that's still a good value? Is it something that you guys would consider yourself? Personally, I still think of Amazfit as a high value brand for a lower price device. Now, I think that that's their sweet spot. I think that's where they're most competitive. But either way, make sure that you guys are getting out there, you're swimming, biking, running, rinsing, and repeating it all over again. And we will see you guys on the next one.